Hey y'all, it's your girl, your legal bestie, Attorney Simone, and today we are going to hop into why Diddy's former bodyguard is suing one of his accusers for $100 million. Specifically, I'm also going to get into why it's actually one of the dumbest lawsuits that I have read all year. Yes, dumb, D-U-M-B. I'm going to break down not only why I believe it's stupid, but also how the plaintiff in this lawsuit, which is Big Joe, Diddy's former bodyguard, actually may end up owing millions simply by filing this stupid lawsuit. So come on in here. Come on in here as we get started. Now, as you know, I'm Attorney Simone. You can always check out my website, simoneredwine.com. You can go there to get my book, which is Background Checks 101, The Beginner's Guide to Determining Who It Is You're Really Dealing With. You just click here, and you can also get a consultation with me. Click here, go down to Book or Hire Simone. Consults start for 30 minutes at $149, and I can help you with legal issues nationally, from divorce issues to landlord tenant, employment related. We come up with a legal strategy to get you justice. So let's go ahead and get into this goofy lawsuit. Now, I know there are like multiple pages that kind of break it down, but let me tell you, when it comes to defamation, I'm your girl. I'm your girl. Because I have been sued for defamation. I'm currently in the midst of a battle with Christian Gold where he's trying to have me disbarred for alleged defamation. And not only have I been sued for it before, but previously when I was sued for it, I ended up bankrupting the company because a lot of entities will sue you for defamation to simply try and silence you. So we're going to get into Big Joe Sherman's lawsuit. I'm going to have it up here on the screen for y'all. Now, who's Big Joe? Big Joe is this big fat man who was allegedly Diddy's former bodyguard. Thank you guys for hopping on in the chat. Hit that like, hit that subscribe as you come on in. Now, he's the former bodyguard. And I have to let you know, if you're new to the channel, I am a little bit of like Nancy Grace meets Cardi B. So if you want like no commentary, then go away. This is not the place for you. You're going to get the law and you're going to get commentary, so that when you're having like educated conversations with friends and family about these cases, you know the real legal tea. So here, the gist of it is Thalia Graves filed a lawsuit this September. Her attorney was Gloria Allred. And in the suit, she claims that both Diddy and his security, Big Joe, assaulted her. And in the lawsuit, it was very graphic. I have a video on that, so no need to go into that. But in the lawsuit, yes, she claims it was the two of them. Well, it's interesting here that Big Joe has filed a defamation suit against her. Now, we're going to get into the claims. It's not super long. It's only 13 pages. Let me make it bigger. There we go. This man, child. All right, these are the people, blah, blah, blah. Now, mind you, here's what's important. Joe's this plaintiff. Here's who he's suing. The alleged Diddy victim, Thalia, Gloria Allred, which is her lawyer, Allred, Marco, and Goldberg, the law firm, Marianne Meyer Wang, which is another lawyer, Heather is a lawyer, Jasley is a lord, and the Cuddy Heckler Wang firm, all law firms. So basically the victim and her lawyers. Yeah, this is the stupidest thing. When I heard about this lawsuit, I was like, surely he's pro se, because surely there's not a lawyer dumb enough in America to file a lawsuit against other lawyers for defamation. But I digress. Here we go. It says on October 24th, the above named defendant sued and went on a media tour, touting, claiming, publishing, stating, and telling the whole world without any proof that Joe Sherman viciously arred Thalia in 2001 while he was working for Sean, aka P. Diddy. First of all, he says that they did this without any proof. How you know what proof they have? Number one. And number two, they don't have to show you proof. All you have to do to file a lawsuit is to state claims that later down the line you can support with proof, but you don't have to put any proof in a petition. And I wanted to clarify that because some people have seen, for example, Tyrone Blackburn's petitions that seem to have all these details. It was salacious, and they think that's what you're supposed to do. No, actually, the best ones only tell you what you're accused of. They don't drop receipts because you don't want the defendant to be able to start planning their defense that early. You want them to just answer the lawsuit. All right. So number two, defendant made outrageous, disgusting, and life-altering statements and publishings about the plaintiff without any regard for the truth. These disgusting and outrageous statements could not be further from the truth. Joe Sherman has never even met Thalia Graves, let alone hurt her. Joe Sherman did not work for Sean in 2001. He stopped working for him the years prior to that in 1999. And if accusing the wrong man of that, assault was not bad enough, Thalia wrote, wrote to Joe Sherman after her and her team of lawyers had already sued him, and what can only be seen as an attempt to blackmail him into providing false testimony against Diddy. When she wrote in relevant part, if you will be my witness against Diddy, then my attorneys will leave you out of any proceedings. And going on to promise, I will make sure the state does not pick up charges or our charges against you. In other words, Thalia Graves and her team of lawyers promised to not destroy Joe Sherman's life with lies, so long as he serves as their witness against Diddy. Now, as I'm reading this, I want y'all to tell me your thoughts. Do you think Diddy put him up to this? Now, I'm going to get into the lawyer. We're going to talk a little bit more about his lawyer. So here's the other allegations. All right. Let me look at these comments over here. Michigan here. Hey, y'all. Confession of Reality Queen. Love you, girl. It says, hey, Simone Mods in the chat. Hey, y'all. All right. So next, the allegations here. It says on September 24th, defendant filed a lawsuit against plaintiff Joe in the Southern District Court, alleging, among other things, the plaintiff hired her at Bad Boy Records in 2001. Defendants also stated that plaintiff was acting as a bodyguard for Sean, also known as Diddy, at the time of the alleged incident, and that both plaintiff and Combs engaged in misconduct towards her. Defendants then stated Combs and the plaintiff gave Thalia a drink, likely laced with the drug, and as she awoke to find herself bound and restrained and being brutally abused and violated. Defendants also stated on around November 27th of 2023 that she learned that Combs and Sherman had video recorded the horrific incident. The above mentioned statements, along with all those asserted by defendants in her complaint, and all those the defendant put forth in the media on CNN against Sherman, are utterly and entirely false. It says, the plaintiff has never even met the defendant, never engaged any S or non-consensual interaction with her, and did not participate in the events alleged. Any video that Thalia claims she, quote, learned of absolutely does not show plaintiff in it. In fact, plaintiff stopped working for Sean in 1998, and this is the last time he was even in the same room as him. Simply put, there is no possible way that plaintiff Joe touched, hurt, or did anything with Thalia. Indeed, plaintiff was a persona non grata, meaning insignificant. He was insignificant at Bad Boy. And anything Sean related having left in and anything Sean Combs related having left Combs' employ in 1999 to work in association with a direct competitor, Def Jam. So he's saying he left and worked with Def Jam. Hey, that doesn't mean he was Diddy's security guard. You can work for any record label you want and be somebody's security guard. You can also do it like per event. Like, you know, if you've been to a party, you see sometimes there's off-duty cops. Well, that cop's day job is for working for whatever precinct, whatever city or what have you they work for, but they can still pick up additional jobs. It says also, plainly said, plaintiff was not even allowed into the Bad Boy Records studios or near Sean after 98. I wonder what happened there. Consequently, he could not have videoed or assaulted her. Okay. On or about November 2024, defendant contacted plaintiff. That must be 23 because we are not at November 29th. So that's incorrect. That she contacted plaintiff via Instagram DM stating, if you'll be my witness against Diddy, my attorneys will leave you out of any proceedings. I will make sure the state does not pick up charges or our charges against you. In her communications with plaintiff, defendant Thalia never accused plaintiff of any R or assault, but instead sought to persuade plaintiff to serve as her witness against Mr. Combs. These statements imply that defendant Graves is aware plaintiff is innocent of any alleged assault, but is attempting to leverage baseless allegations as part of her broader litigation strategy. We're going to get into the actual text messages, but I'll say this. Her messages against her messages with him, y'all. Her messages between him actually talk about she talks about him doing things to her, and she implies, hey, I know this is what you guys did back then. However, blah, blah, blah. So what y'all did back then, that sounds like the two of you are participatory. Also note, this man is broke. He ain't got no money. He ain't got no money. He ain't got no money. So let me put my face up here because I'm over here talking and you're like, where does that come from? This man ain't got no money. So when a man ain't got no money, what do the lawyers do? We want to go after those who do have funds. So I'm not surprised if her attorneys were like, hey, we can sue the both of them, but we're really going to focus on Diddy. And Latoya says, it seems like a lot of lawyers are finding people to file lawsuits together surrounding all this celebrity BS. We're going to see. All right. So then it goes on to say, he goes on to say, all right. Graves' lawsuit and subsequent communications constitute a calculated malicious attempt to defame the plaintiff by making knowingly false accusations with the intent of coercing him into supporting her separate legal action against Mr. Combs. For example, defendant Gloria Allred had an opportunity to mitigate the damages of her defamatory lawsuit filed against plaintiff when she received a call from famed journalist Sarah Wallace of NBC, at which time Wallace shared with her Instagram messages written from her client Thalia to plaintiff Joe Sherman, asking him, if you'll be my witness against Diddy, my attorneys will leave you out of any proceedings. Absolutely will leave him out because he ain't got no money. She says, I'll make sure that the state does not pick up charges or blank charges against you. Instead of investigating or performing due diligence, Allred arrogantly wrote back in an email September 30th saying, the complaint speaks for itself. That's what you're supposed to say. That's literally what you're supposed to say as your lawyer. Also, to say that this was negligent or in other ways a dereliction of the attorney's duty, the attorney surely has more messages than what we saw. She's got more evidence than just what we saw. Therefore, her statement, the complaint speaks for itself. It means we're going to argue this in the court, not public opinion. It also says 34, instead of seeking the truth out, verifying facts, and bringing justice for women who were actually hurt, the defendants here have set women's rights back and at the same time victimized Joe, turning his life upside down and ruining it with salacious lies. As a result, defendants' defamatory statements, plaintiff has suffered and continues to suffer reputational harm, emotional distress, and financial damages, including to, but not limited to, the cost of defending against defendants' meritless allegations. I wonder if the same lawyer is going to defend him against the allegations. I doubt it. Because those kind of lawyers that are going to defend you on the civil side, they're not going to do it contingency because there's no money to be won. He literally is going to have to pay an hourly attorney if he has one at all. Perhaps Diddy may also pay for his attorney in exchange for loyalty, if you know what I mean. It says defamation against all the plaintiffs. Defendant's statements in the legal filing through media and her direct communications with plaintiff and others falsely and maliciously claim that the plaintiff, Joseph Sherman, committed heinous crimes, including but not limited to, and it lists them out, right? They state defendants made these statements with knowledge of their falsity or reckless disregard. I'll go ahead and state what the claims are. But not limited to, they claim assault, thereby damaging plaintiff's reputation and causing harm to his standing in the community, his professional reputation, and his personal relationships. Defendants' defamatory statements were made with malice, meaning intentionally, you knew good and well it was a lie, as demonstrated by the communications with the plaintiff that clearly sought to coerce him into acting as their witness against Combs by threatening him with unfounded criminal allegations. As a direct and a result of the defamation, the plaintiff has substantially and irreparably been damaged in excess of $75,000. You always say that in a federal lawsuit because it can only be in the federal courts if it's $75,000 or more. Plaintiff has suffered significant damages as a result. Let me see about these because, sir, you are poor. You're a poor person. So I need to know how you, Mr. Poor Person, have suffered $100 million worth. I think somebody's lying already. Here we go. He said, as a proximate result of defendant's statements, including several emotional distress, damages to his personal and professional reputation, and financial harm, all in an amount to be proven in trial. Okay. Next, negligent infliction of emotional distress. Now, wait a minute. He just says against all defendants. He doesn't break out what the lawyer did versus what the client did. So this is going to be so summarily dismissed, at least as to the lawyers. Like, lawyers going to file a motion to dismiss under immunity, and I'm going to explain why. All right, then it says defamation. Plaintiff against, we did defamation. It's negligent infliction of emotional distress. Plaintiff incorporates the paragraphs above. Under New York law, a plaintiff can recover for negligent infliction of emotional distress when a defendant's conduct unreasonably endangers the plaintiff's physical safety or causes emotional distress that results in physical manifestations. Meaning you have to have hives, you have to have headaches. Let me see what his physical manifestations are. Like, it can't just be like, oh, I'm sad. Like, something has to happen to your body. It says defendants owe the duty to plaintiff to verify the truth, perform due diligence, and act reasonable care for making the statements and allegations, such as R word against the plaintiff. Defendant breached this duty by recklessly filing a baseless suit and making false claims in the lawsuit in the media that the plaintiff committed heinous acts. Had the defendants done any due diligence with reasonable care and verified the veracity of these statements, defendants knew or should have known such statements were utterly false and untrue. Defendants' reckless and negligent conduct created a reasonable risk of causing severe emotional distress to plaintiff. As a direct and proximate cause of defendants' negligent and reckless actions, plaintiff has suffered severe emotional distress, including but not limited to anxiety, embarrassment, humiliation, and anguish, all of which have manifested in physical symptoms, such as insomnia, depression, anxiety, vomiting, headaches, and other health complications. That man is very fat. Y'all see how fat that man is? Oh, he's on the thumbnail. That fat man has had insomnia before. He probably got sleep apnea. He's also had other health complications because he's fat, and that's what happens when you're fat. All right. In addition, plaintiff has incurred damages as a result of defendant's conduct and seeks compensation. And then next is intentional infliction of emotional distress, basically the same. This is for under New York law, if the defendant's conduct is so extreme and outrageous that it transcends all bounds of decency. Basically, they're claiming that that's what happened here. The actions were intentionally calculated to harm his reputation, career, and personal life. Then the next count, hopping down, is negligence. Defendants owed a duty of care, including verifying allegations about the assault before publicly making statements, and that failure to do so was negligent. Vexatious litigation. This one is defendants initiated legal proceedings against plaintiff with malicious intent, knowing the allegations were baseless and without probable cause. Here's the thing. I could see someone like Diddy bringing vexatious litigation. That's the same as like malicious prosecution. It's the same concept. But don't nobody care about you, Big Sherman? Like, nobody's like, ooh, I wonder what Big Sherman from 2001 is doing today. I don't know. Working in a call center? Like, nobody is disrupting your call center script to just be like, hey, let's go take some money from this person who has zero. No, I fail to believe that anyone intentionally and maliciously sought out Big Sherm. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I feel like it would be more likely that someone, like a Diddy could, be found to do something like that. Yeah, and he is a whole hot mess. I saw that in a comment. Carmen Laurie says, another YouTuber did a deep dive on him, and he is grimy. Yes, who did that? Let me see. Let me do this, and then I'm gonna go to another tab and do a quick background check. Let me see. Oh, you know what the problem was? I started it. Let me see. I started it, but his name is so common. I needed some additional information on that. Kitty Black said he is gonna blame being fat on them. He can't lose weight because of distress. Oh, Big Sherm. All right. So next is, so there's vexatious litigation, which is basically like malicious prosecution, as well as abusive process. Defendants utilize legal process, including filing a baseless lawsuit, not for its intended purpose, but to exert pressure on plaintiff to cooperate in litigation against a third party. Defendants' use of process in this manner constitutes an abusive process, as used legal mechanism to threaten and coerce him into the intention of achieving the unrelated goals. As a result of defendant's abuse of process, plaintiffs suffered damages, including reputational harm. What you didn't have a good reputation before, emotional distress, and financial harm. Next is malicious prosecution. It says there, defendants initiated and pursued a legal proceeding against plaintiff without probable cause, with full knowledge of the allegations were baseless and intended to harm the plaintiff. Defendants acted with malice, filing claims against plaintiff solely to damage his reputation, cause him harm, blah, 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 blah. Now, we're going to get into this thing. There's also text messages that he attached as Exhibit A. But before we get to that, I want to make sure you're very clear on the law. So his claims that he added, the vexatious prosecution, malicious prosecution, those ones might be able to stand. But the defamation itself, you cannot file defamation against lawyers and a law firm. That's why I was like, who is this Rudy Poop man? How do he not know no better? I had his website up. As it said, the law firm is... I did have it up. Let me get, who is this man? It's, oh shoot. Let me put that right back up. All right. Darnell Crossland. Hold on. I'm going to pull his page back up. Y'all, I'm sure he's a lovely man. Here it is. But so whenever I have opposing counsel, I go to their websites. Let me make sure we can see this one here. Let me share this. All right. So here's this website. What is that? It was a police car. He's a criminal defense attorney. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying he doesn't state on his website, at least, that he specializes in civil litigation. It says representing victims of crimes and those falsely accused. Now, I suppose the falsely accused is how it fits into defamation, but I want to be very clear. Civil defamation law is completely different than somebody lying on you in a criminal court. Totally different. So he specializes in criminal defense, property crimes, that means stealing from people, DWI and traffic violations, personal injury like car accidents and those kind of things. He says family law, ain't got nothing up under there, and other. I ain't got nothing up there either. So I'm sure he's great at what he does. I'm just saying he can't be great at defamation, and here's why. Under the defamation law, there is an absolute immunity for lawyers. And that absolute immunity comes in the form of, if we file a civil lawsuit, we can't be sued for defamation for that. No, stupid. Here's why. If so, big corporations would sue lawyers every time they're representing the little guy or poor person. You simply cannot do that. You simply can't do that, because if you did, lawyers would always have to be defending themselves for defending their clients, for representing their clients. And that immunity is so absolute. By absolute immunity, what that means is even if it's a lie, you cannot sue and recover from a lawyer. So when I got sued for actually telling the truth and did that, we were able to get a motion to dismiss and get it dismissed. But this lawyer is going to face sanctions because the courts and the bar does not like it when lawyers are attack dogs against the everyday citizen. And that's what's happening here. So if Thalia Graves, the victim, wants to file a bar complaint against that lawyer, she likely will be very successful. She could be very successful. Or if the attorneys who were sued wanted to file a bar complaint, they could be successful too, because that immunity, and I'm going to share it on the screen, it's like law school 101. Like if you've ever visited a law school, if you've ever been to a law school, that's like law school 101, which you learn, make it bigger, that you learn about. It says, let me see, that one is criminal. Let's see. Let me do the other one. But that one was about like the criminal, It says generally a criminal victim. Now, okay, so the lawyers have absolute immunity, but then the victims have what's called a qualified immunity, meaning a victim who's flat out lying cannot be sued for defamation for what they've said in court, what they've said on their court documents. But If they are being vexatious, like malicious prosecution and that stuff, they can be sued for those things. So that's why I say this is going to be a goofy lawsuit. And what's more, New York law has what's called the Anti-SLAPP Act. What that is that's a law in place that says if you sue somebody for defamation for speaking out about a crime, and victims have absolute immunity for it. Sorry, they have immunity for crimes. So Thalia coming up, even if her years are wrong, her dates are wrong, some of the facts are wrong, you can't get a defamation win against her because she's a victim of a crime, reporting and discussing her crime. Otherwise, lawsuits will be filed against victims of assault all the time. Kenny Black said, I think I'm coming up with a good argument. Let me send an invoice to his attorney. Girl, help him out. I think he might need some help. Mocha said, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Y'all, yes, like this video, y'all. So what also happens here is what could happen is I believe Gloria Allred and her law firm could likely file what's called an anti-SLAPP motion to dismiss. If they win that, he has to pay up to 3 times their legal fees. So that means, let's say Gloria Allred wants to hire her daughter, Lisa Bloom, to defend her in this or whoever else. She can charge her $1,000 an hour for defending. And then when she successfully wins to get this stupid defamation suit dismissed, oh boy and his lawyer will have to pay their legal fees, their damages, blah, 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 for the wasted time and all of that. Because here's how that law works. The law was created to protect people who are speaking out about matters of public concern. So, for example, if you go on someone's Google page and you be like, this restaurant sucks, there was a roach in my food. What used to happen is those restaurants would then sue the person for giving a bad Google review. And then paperwork and like the lawsuit would bankrupt the regular individual. So this law came up that says, hey, if somebody is out here yapping, talking about an issue of public concern, and you sue them, then the victim, like Thalia, can file a motion to dismiss under this law, the anti-SLAPP law. What happens the moment they file it? The burden shifts to Big Sherm to prove her allegations ain't true. He has to prove all of the things that she's claiming aren't true with no discovery. He cannot request discovery for anything. Hey, Melissa B, thank you for being a member. Yeah, he can't require discovery. He can't paper her. And that's because it's a lot cheaper when you don't have to go through discovery and stuff. It's just, he has to show with clear and convincing evidence that he did not do this to her in order to win. Otherwise, she can get this dismissed. So basically he can, yes, at least I'm going to say this, as to her lawyers, he is screwed with respect to absolutely the defamation because there is an absolute immunity for lawyers. And I don't know how a lawyer didn't see that. Second, they're going to go for sanctions, meaning they're going to want, since he ain't got no money, they're going to also sue his lawyer. And when they win the hundreds of thousands of dollars they're finna win for this dumb lawsuit, his lawyer is going to have to pay. You know what happens when lawyers don't pay and they get sanctions? Their law license gets suspended. It gets suspended. So let's go into the receipts. Let's look into the receipts of the text messages. We're going to look at the text messages. And I want your thoughts on, do you think Big Sherm wasn't there at all? Because the allegation was this. The allegation is that Thalia was dating one of Diddy's workers. This guy, I say worker, this guy named Conrad. Conrad was married, okay? Conrad had a whole wife. Now, I don't believe the victim knew about it, but as a result of that, it appears Conrad did, okay, so then, so Thalia was dating Conrad, and the allegation is that Diddy had called Thalia and said, hey, we need to, me and Big Joe Big Joe's going to come get you. We need to talk to you about Conrad. Like his job is about to be in jeopardy. And she, being a girlfriend, said, oh, okay. She had known Diddy for a while at that point. She gets in the vehicle with them. They go to Bad Boy Studios. And while there, give her a drink. The drink has something in it. She ends up getting loopy and loose and then ends up passing out. And the two of them attack her. Oops, Why is my face not on the screen? Sorry. And the two of them attack her. Now, her petition is very specific. I'm going to put it on the screen here. In her petition, it says Combs and Sherman brutally abused and violated her. Combs mercilessly hurt her in the mouth, in the butt, and that Sherman damaged her. Let's see. It said he slammed her on the table, slapped her, and thrust his private into her mouth. Both men were, it says both men were undeterred by her cries for help. Okay, so that's the clip. Now we're going to look at the text messages that he's claiming exonerate him. So this is Thalia to him on Instagram. She says, "Hey, were you a security guard for Puff?" He says, "LOL, who are you?" She said, "Please call." Oops, sorry. And he didn't even redact it, y'all. Anyway, it says, like I explained before, if you will be my witness against Diddy, then my attorneys will leave you out of any proceedings because we have statements that you physically showed over 8 people videos and you of me and you to people in the studio. So if you're willing to give me a statement in the studio. So if you're willing to give me a statement about my R against Puffy, then the attorneys won't go after you for revenge porn or distribution. Now, here's the thing. Those are still crimes. So she's saying they won't go after you for revenge porn or distribution. She says, that's why I asked you to call me so I don't have to keep writing this. But she says, we have statements that you physically showed over 8 people, videos of me and you. Videos of me and you says to me, the two of y'all were in an act. MD said that lawyer must have Gmail. Yes, because I have a saying, if your lawyer got Gmail, you probably going to jail. And that is true. It was very true for Christian Gold, whose lawyer absolutely had Gmail. Then it says, the next paragraph, this is still Thalia, says, I'll make sure that the state does not pick up charges or our charges against you. I also understand that it was 2001, but this was normal behavior for you guys. But then we women have to deal with the repercussions and the trauma. Hold on. That still says to me, you had liability. You did something to me. When he says, if she says earlier above, we have statements that you physically showed over 8 people videos of me and you. The only way the two of them would have been in a compromising video if she had been given a drink that has something in it would have been without her consent. And it says, and then to say, I'll make sure the state doesn't pick up charges. That doesn't mean you're innocent. And that doesn't seem to be a threat. That means even though you did this, I would be willing to help you not get into as much trouble. He says, I don't know what the F you're talking about. I don't know who the F you are. You can sue me, shoot me, throw me out the window. What? Then she said, did you work for Bad Boy? Because, Joe Sherman is a common name. She said, do you work for Bad Boy? Did you show a video to people in the studio of Conrad's? That's why I asked you to call so I can make sure it's the right person. He says, don't know what the F you're talking about. Tell your lawyer, go do what the heck he wants. God bless you. I am not in the industry. Well, no, dummy. Nobody's asking you about today, fat boy. We're talking about 2001. She then says, dude, just call. And she gives her number. At this point, you don't need to be talking to this man anymore because he is clearly either covering up or playing dumb. He says, I don't have a clue who you are, nor seen your video, nor know of your video, nor seen you in my life. She said, it's not a threat. I'm just trying to connect the dots. Like I said, I'm one of Puffy's victims. So I was just made aware that you had shown tapes of me and you to people in the studio. I didn't even know you recorded anything between us. Did you work for Bad Boy? Girl, stop. Did you work for Bad Boy? Did they call you Big Joe, right? Did you manage Cameron? Oh, that's very specific. He says, once again, miss, I don't know nothing you're talking about. You can call Jesus. You can save all these messages. I have no problem with you doing that. She said, I'm trying to make sure I have the right person. Now, furthermore, by saying I had to, oh, yeah, I do have this I voted shirt on. Yeah, I done been through some things. So it's been a little while. But to say, I'm trying to make sure the right person, that's what you're supposed to do, right? He says she didn't do her due diligence, but that's what she's supposed to do. But stay with me. I'm going to connect some dots in a moment. He says, I'm curious what you effing think this guy you call Big Joe, because you definitely was never having S with me. I never saw you in my life. She said, just answer the question. Did you work for Bad Boy ever? He said, goodbye. And just because you tried to threaten me, if anybody calls for my assistance against you, they can definitely have this content I just pull out. You picked the right MF to threaten. That's definitely not true. I know nothing of you, Diddy, or anybody. You are on my phone threatening my life, my livelihood, and my safety. I never did anything to you nor seen you in my life. Just wait to say, that's definitely not true. I know nothing of you, Diddy, or anybody. You know about Diddy, so you can't say that. Then he says, Miss, you are on my page. I'm sure if the guy on the page was someone that did something to you or was videoing you, you would know. LOL. You effing Joe Sherman. I'm not understanding none of this. She said, just call. I can better explain. Well, since you say it wasn't you, then we would just wait for the witnesses to say whatever they have to say in court, and they would figure it out. Stay with me, y'all. Thanks for your time, and nobody's made any threats against you. I said specifically, if it wasn't you in that video and the statements, I would make sure that no charges were brought against you. If you were the same Joe and can testify for me against Diddy, because the other 6 people that gave statements in New York said that Joe showed them a video of me. So thank you for your time. The other 6 people that gave statements, that means statements to the feds. So that means there were 6 people that likely gave statements to the feds. And the reason I'm saying it was the feds, remember the timing of this was November 27th of 2023. So it couldn't have been statements to her lawyer. She didn't have Nary. That means there were 6 people that gave statements to the feds, telling the feds the existence of this video. Wow. Now that makes sense why Gloria Allred was so comfortable and said the complaint speaks for itself. We're going to prove ourselves in court. Because when the feds have evidence like that, they automatically just turn it over to your lawyers. So you've got a foundation of evidence right there. So that is critical. If it wasn't you in the video, the witness and the witness statements, I would make sure no charges were brought against you, because the other 6 people that gave statements in New York said that Joe showed them a video of me and him. That means 6 statements to the feds acknowledging the video. That also makes me wonder if the feds found the video when they pulled stuff from December. Nope. It couldn't have been, because this was November of 2023. So that would have been before they had found, but they may have found it later. Let's go to the next one. She said, because I am trying to protect myself from the media and the BS and whatever video is out there from 2001, and also save Joe from any BS or repercussions from that same video. But if you're not him, I apologize. I would just let old man Prince and the attorneys figure out what's going on. Ooh, she's referring to Jay Prince. Jay Prince is the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records, and he doesn't play. Now, if you remember, there's a rumor that it actually is found to be true. Diddy at one point slapped Drake. Drake is signed to Jay Prince. At least initially he was. I believe still so. So in doing that, that's assaulting his artist. And then Jay Prince allegedly behind the scenes squashed that beef, whether he made Diddy apologize or whatever happened, that beef had been solidified. So in Houston, you don't drop that name. That man is, you don't play. He is serious business. He is Teflon. Okay, Big Sherm writes back and says, LOL, I don't know you. Do you know this Joe Sherman? Did you S his D? If you know what he looks like, why you on my page threatening me? LOL, here we go with the threats again. Who's Prince? Is that one of your boyfriends? He says, wait a minute. He says, I don't know you. Do you know this Joe Sherman? Did you suck his D? Hold on. Wait a minute. Well, hold on. Remember, how did he know about that? If it wasn't his D? Because remember, this is last November. This is this is like a week or two after Cassie's situation. Her petition wasn't filed until this September. And that was the allegation in her petition. Let me put it back on the screen. In her petition, she says, Joe slammed her onto the table, slapped her, and repeatedly thrust his pee into her mouth. How did he know? Because you can have the R word without that, right? That's very specific, sir. That's very specific. So he says again, I don't know you. I don't know this Joe Sherman. Did you suck his D? If you know what he looks like, why are you on my page threatening me? And on his page, I went to Joe's page, has like a muscle bodybuilder person. It's not him, because we all know he's fat. Then she said, nobody made any threats to you. I specifically said there's a video of Big Joe. A Big Joe that used to work at Bad Boy as a security guard, also confirmed that he worked there, and also confirmed that there's a video of me and him from 2001. Also confirmed that his video was shown on a camcorder by Big Joe to at least 8 different men, including Diddy at Bad Boy. And I'm trying to get a statement from Big Joe on my behalf because I'm going after Diddy for my assault. So if you're not the same person, like I said, I apologize. And Prince is not my boyfriend. He is Mr. J. Prince. Everybody in the industry knows who he is. I am sure Mr. Prince does not want his name mentioned in this. He said, so if you're not the same Joe, then it's good. It's all good. But if you are, I would like to have a conversation with girl. Stop. You should have stopped like 17 text messages again. Like, this is a lawyer's nightmare. He writes, I just don't get nothing you're saying. If there's a video of you sucking Joe's D, you should know who D you were sucking and who's Big Joe. Again, he's very adamant about this action. Now I've got to see the tape. Because if that's what's happening in the tape, how do you know? Am I with you? Okay. We'll have to check it out. Let me see. Hi, off from Detroit. Just telling on himself. Big word. Trying to play dumb. Yeah. That's just very specific. Then she said, well, that's why we've got people to identify who Big Joe is. John, who also confirmed it, so did Roger and Diddy's lawyer. And that was the picture they sent me asking if this was the same person. So I guess when I fly to New York in 2 weeks, I will see what they have. You have a good day. Girl, why are you telling all these people your business? Why? Sorry, why are you telling all these people? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be yelling. Why are you telling all these people your business? This is because you know whoever this person is going to run back and tell someone related to Diddy. And girl, he says, I don't give a F about no J Prince. Never heard of him. Don't know. Okay. Sir, you are lying. This is a bold-faced lie. You absolutely know who J Prince is. Anybody in his age range who's in the music industry knows who J Prince. So for him to even be like, even if he stopped working for Diddy in 1999, he knows who J Prince is. So now you lying for real. Is he just making assumptions about that? He could be. I just thought that it seemed specific, given that if the allegation is assault, usually people assume it's regular intercourse, not the other. That's a very specific kind of assault. And she never said what kind it was. So that's unique to me, just using my attention to detail as an attorney, that he very specifically clocked exactly what ended up being in her petition, which was that specific type. Now, again, we don't know I haven't seen the video. We don't know what's on there or what have you. I don't give a F. I don't know of him. You don't have a fucking, you don't have a clue what you're doing threatening me. As you can see, I'm responding to all your threats on these texts. Shows you how much I give a care. You got a problem with Diddy, but you're going out your way threatening other people. I never saw you before. Don't know what the heck you're talking about. Never showed no video, nor had one of you. So why the F are you threatening me with J Prince and lawyers like I give a care? It's hundreds of strippers, prostitutes, bottle girls, models, married women, regular women that's going to be coming after Diddy for his money. All you women know what you were doing with Diddy. You just found a way to turn. Hold on. You was Diddy for his money. All you women knew what you were doing. I found a way to turn consensual S into R. You all were messing with him and loving it just like women do. All these other rappers and singers, and tell y'all to get the shot to get some money out of them. So it's R. So then and then it's R. Little has and then it's R has been a little stressed out. From being broke. That's the real problem. Old and broke. It's like he's going on this soliloquy. That's a lot to give somebody. I don't know. That's a huge soliloquy. Very, very strange. Very strange. But that's what he's got. Now, I wanted to share, though. I'm going to switch over here. I want to show you. Now, Make It Make Sense did this deep dive where he shared text messages between various people familiar with Big Joe and this assault. And I want you guys to listen to this clip from Make It Make Sense, where he is basically reading through the text messages. And this is a group of text messages by two other bad boy execs, like bad boy related people who are talking about their memory of what happened to Thalia.
Here's a picture of Big Joe. It reads, "That's the bastard. I contacted and I redacted names. The names are not important, but trust me, I have all the names. I contacted blank. Hopefully he has a lawyer. Okay, cool. And yes, that's Big Joe. I know." So then Thalia says to her ex-boyfriend, "Email me a synopsis of the video you have seen." Mm-hmm. Does that sound like somebody who knew about it before? This is the video that you said you've seen. This is before any money was involved. So this is the timeline. They reached out to her.
What? Hold on, yeah. Did I miss that?
Thalia says to her ex-boyfriend, "Email me a synopsis of the video you have seen." Does that sound like somebody who knew about it before? This is the video that you said you've seen.
Another section.
This is before any money was involved. So this is the timeline. They reached out to her, allegedly, told her, "You got this ball moving." I don't know if it was a crisis of conscience or you knew that there were things in your past that would come out. We're hearing this a lot. People are now signing these agreements to make sure that I'm going to drop to this
other portion.
Everybody wants the big
where they were talking about Big Joe as well. Let's see. So we've got another section here. Here we go. So these are the two other people. Here we go. There we go. These are two other people talking about remembering what happened to her.
The lady in the red was, and they're saying this man's name, Ricardo's name. The lady in the red was Ricardo's girlfriend,
Thalia.
I remember the day it happened. Joe was, and then I redacted the name. Then Ricardo cried at the airport. Oh, he can always call me though. He is so scared. They didn't name them, did they? She will have to because he told her about the tape on Thanksgiving. I just told you guys that Ricardo told the victim about the tape. It was Ricardo who lit this match. Again, I don't know if Ricardo was just scared that he was going to go down, if he wanted to get ahead of the story, or if he truly did feel like I really messed up. But Joe, I remember the day we was about to go on tour or was coming in from someplace. It was around and they listed the tour. I didn't want to let you know who this person is, so I redacted it. I remember the girl had on a burgundy or red dress that was like a sweater, and Joe kept effing with her. The woman says, "How do you remember all that?" Yeah, I remember that day. I remember Joe was effing with Ricardo bad. The girl told me Ricardo wasn't there. Said Diddy and Joe picked her up from her house and told her they needed to talk to her about Ricardo because his job was at risk in Joe's burgundy truck. But Joe been doing this stuff for years. I just can't believe Puff.
There we go. Joe has been doing this stuff for years. I just can't believe Puff. So basically what this is an exchange from people. This was an exchange between two bad boy execs who remembered back when it happened that Joe was showing the video to people that Joe had messed with the girl. They even remembered she had on that red dress. She discussed wearing a red dress in her petition, etc., etc. So it's interesting to me that Joe says, I didn't have nothing to do with Diddy at that point, but other people are able to lump it together and put them together. So in the end, this lawsuit is definitely going to be one to watch because it would be really fascinating to see whether the lawyers are going to get both the dismissal and they're going to get their dismissal. But are they also going to get sanctions ordered, meaning his lawyer, he and his lawyer be ordered to pay them money? Because if they don't come up with that money, the New York bar, the bar where they practice law, could fine them, could suspend their license, etc. There's a number of different things that can happen there. In addition, Mim drops the names from the messages, correct. In addition, separately, the claims against Thalia, the only ones that could potentially stand would be the ones that are about the vexatious litigation and malicious prosecution. The intentional infliction of emotional distress, where he claims he got anxiety and vomiting and all this stuff. You're old and you're fat, sir. You cannot pinpoint that to this. And then $100 million is what he's asking for. Like, you're never going to see that in any of your lifetimes. It just seems very clear that this was to harass the victim. I would not be surprised if Diddy or Diddy's lawyers had thought of this strategy to file this and use this to like harass the victim in a way, because this victim is the one that they're hanging their hat on to try and get him bail. See, Diddy's argument for bail is, hey, Your Honor. Among other things, the argument on the facts of the accusations is these were consensual relationships. But this situation is the non-consensual situation. So the better and the more evidence they have to discredit Thalia's accusations, the stronger he believes his chance will be for bail. Yes. All right. So I hope that happened. I hope that helped. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a number of different legal topics like we usually do, the legal hot topics. And we're going to share some facts about attorney Caleb Bumpus getting married to Eric Stillwell, one of the defendants in the YSL case. So Caleb Bumpus was YSL Woody's attorney, and she actually married one of the defendants. And we're going to show some receipts tomorrow and go over that. Also, drop in the chat below what other topics you want me to cover. All right, y'all have a great night. This is your legal bestie, Attorney Simone.